Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today TV. If you are a fan of Addison Road, you're really going to like this because I have a lead singer here. Jenny Simmons is with me. She has a new book. It is called The Road to Becoming and tells some stories and some events in her life that has brought her to where she's at, which is good, even though it wasn't easy.
Right.
Good to have you.
Thank you. So good to be here.
So before we talk about some of the stuff you're doing now, give me a little bit of overview about The Road to Becoming so we know what's going on there.
Well, so it's the road to becoming rediscovering your life in the not how I planned it moments. And I'm a planner. So I had my whole life planned out, and Addison Road was that plan. I really thought I would be in like a nursing home one day, just jamming out with my band,
Right.
And we had songs on the radio in the top 10, and we're touring all over the country. And there was just a particular year where it all began to unravel. And you couldn't really tell from the outside, but behind the scenes, we were just falling apart. And so we got to the end of this year, and I woke up one day, and the band had disbanded. My husband and I were nearly bankrupt. We were trying to find a lawyer and talking about how to avoid bankruptcy court. I was at home with my daughter, and I had thus far raised her on a tour bus, with a dozen other people, and everything that I had known had unraveled. And so this book is, what do you do then? What do you do when all of a sudden you wake up one day and think, that's not how I planned it?
If I understand it correctly, the bankruptcy was a result of like a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah.
Theft, things burning, accidents, not like mismanagement.
No.
So, I mean, it's one thing when you go, man, we screwed up,
Right.
but it's another thing when you go, God, what is going on?
Right.
And that's kind of where you're at, right?
Yeah, and it was really hard for me as a believer because I had so many people of faith in my life, and they told me two totally different things.
What'd they tell you?
Which was, one group said, you are doing amazing work for God's kingdom, and Satan comes against that, and he is trying to stop you in your tracks, so you persevere.
Yeah.
And the other group said, God is making it abundantly clear that this is not the right road, and every door is shutting, and you need to change paths because you're clearly not in the right place. And it was a very confusing time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what, in retrospect, which was it?
Oh,
You still don't know?
I honestly don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
I don't know. I see how it could have been both sides. I do know this, that if it was Satan's attempt, I think there are moments when our paths, we hit those detours, and we have a choice in those detour moments, whether we keep following Jesus on a new road or we just quit altogether.
Yeah.
And there were moments I laid in bed and thought, I got to quit altogether. My family's in ministry. I'd always seen people serve the Lord, and I thought, well, if this is what it gets you,
Right.
then I don't know if I am emotionally strong enough and spiritually resilient enough to do that. But if you get up and you follow God on the detours, then Satan can't win. He can't. If that was his attempt to stop me, he failed.
Yeah,
So I'm here.
I think the whole all things working together for good, those all things aren't always good things or fun things or the way we would have planned it, like you say.
Absolutely.
So where are you now?
Yeah. Well, I wrote a book, which I would have never dreamed for myself. And I think the beauty of the last few years is in the ashes and in the grief of what was, I've seen new things come to life. And so I spend a lot of time on the road at women's conferences, and just ministry-wise, I can relate to people in a way that I had no idea. I realized I'd spent years telling people to trust God, to have faith in God, that God was all-sufficient, that he provided. And it wasn't until I was facing bankruptcy court that I thought, what have I been telling these people?
Right. Then you had to do it, right?
Then I had to do it, and that's when my faith journey, it started all over, and I thought, oh, this is what it's like to trust that my God is enough for me right now, this very moment. And so that's what today looks like, is speaking to women and families and people and just saying, God's enough. I've seen him be enough for me. And this is what it looks like for new dreams to come to life.
Yeah. Interesting thing is, you're going to think this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but
yeah,
it does. So I've got a tree. I've got a bunch of trees in my yard, and the roots are like tearing up my grass. Right? So I'm like, what do I do about it? So I talked to a guy that knows this kind of stuff, and he said, quit watering your grass so much. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, you need to let the tree start to get its roots deeper. And it's when it's dry that the tree reaches down into the soil.
Wow.
And that's where it gets its stability.
Yep.
Kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so good that you've reached down and because that depth will make the next storm not so dangerous.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I remember right after the fire, we had this big fire, and the RV that we were traveling burns up and blows up, burns to the ground.
It's crazy.
And we were in Vegas at the time. And so we were driving from Phoenix to Las Vegas, and I saw these trees. And I'd never been through the Joshua tree forest before, and I'd never seen a Joshua tree. And they were everywhere. And it was this moment when the Holy Spirit said, see, I keep things alive in the desert. I mean, just as clear as day. I wrote a song about it. I wrote a chapter about it called Joshua Tree. And I said, it just occurred to me, I'm a Joshua tree. Like where there should be no good reason for me to be alive. My God brings streams into the desert and water into wastelands, and those deep, deep roots that you can't see, they're keeping this tree alive in the middle of the most harsh conditions.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So now you travel, you still sing.
Yeah.
You lead worship.
Yeah.
But you speak as well, and you told me earlier, you're a storyteller. I want to know what that looks like.
Yeah. You know, I wrestled for a long time with what the definition was for me. I would get on stage and I began to tell the story of what happened and the loss and the in-between seasons. And pretty soon I realized that my concerts were half talking and half music. And so I didn't want to disappoint people, so I just started saying up front, this is a night of stories. We just started calling it a night of stories. Nice. And so, you know, I got to the place where I felt like I realized I'm not Beth Moore, I'm not Priscilla Shire, I'm not a Bible teacher. But the Lord is like, it's okay for you to just be you. And what you are is this little girl that I have loved and known since you were little, who sees every single detail. And I see God show up in the Starbucks line and the cafeteria at a hospital and on the highway and in Joshua trees in the desert. And so I feel like my greatest gift is to live life with my eyes open to see the hand of God at work and to be able to sit down and say, you know, I know you feel like hopeless right now, but can I just tell you, I just saw God show up in the most miraculous way.
And you just talk about it.
I just talk about it. I just tell the stories.
Do you write any songs about the stories that you talk about?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No, not yet. I don't know how to do that yet.
Talk to Matthew West. He's like the king.
I know, right? He's good.
No, I think you're in pretty solid territory because half the Bible's stories.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
God often tells us, and even Jesus would tell a story to illustrate a point.
Right.
So it's good stuff. So how do people get a hold of you if they go, man, I remember Addison Road, I love them, and I didn't know she was available, and I'm going to read her book, and I want her to come sing and speak and tell us stories. How do they get a hold of you?
So just go to my website. It's jennysimmons.com, and I'm really active on Facebook, actually. Right. So it's Jenny Simmons Music, and we, my daughter, my husband, and I, we post videos and all kinds of updates and just really try to keep in contact with people that way.
Very, very cool. Yeah. You also blog there, yes?
I do.
So you write the stories?
I do. Well? I try to write out as many as I can, Perfect. So it's constantly just, you know, I was out this weekend and this is what I saw God do.
Do check out Jenny's website, jennysimmons.com. And if you want to see her on the broadcast show, you can check out that show at lifetoday.org. And now, special treat, right out of the experiences we've been talking about, a song called What Faith's About. Let's join Jenny in the studio.
What if what I have is not enough? And all I hold you ask me to give up? What if you require bravery? But I'm clinging to the edge, too scared to leave. But what if I jump and I find I was always made to fly? What if the days I'm walking into are the best of my whole life? What if the things that I've dreamed become my reality? When it looks impossible but still works out, what if that's what faith's about? Yeah, that's what faith's about. And what if I'm not sure I heard you right, and I found 1,000 many reasons not to try. And what if I can't face the great unknown? But there's no way back and nowhere left to go. Then what if I jump and I find I was always made to fly? What if the days I'm walking into are the best of my whole life? What if the things that I dreamed become my reality? When it looks impossible but still works out, what if that's what fate's about? So who am I not to be, not to be everything that you have called me? Oh, and who am I not to speak to every mountain that's before me? What if I try even when I'm scared and your courage leads me there? What if I hope against all hope and believe in every prayer? And what if I jump and I find I was always made to fly? What if the days I'm walking into are the best of my whole life? And what if the things that I've dreamed become my reality? When it looks impossible but still works out. Oh, when it looks impossible but still works out. What if that's what faith's about?